What's going on, folks? Today we're going to be looking at some of these succulents that are really overgrown. I got a couple of pots of them here, and we're going to separate out some of the pups that are growing. You can see there's a lot of overgrown stuff going on here, and we're going to separate these out, get them into a new arrangement, get it looking fresh and really nice, and see what we can do. But let's take a look at what we got and get it over on the table and check it out. All right, so I got a few of the succulents that we're going to be taking a look at today, and I think we're going to try and fill up this beautiful little terracotta pot. And it's kind of an oblong pot, and it should be an interesting little arrangement. But as you can see, we've got you can see this is really kind of, whoa. Oh my gosh, oh no. So this set of area is super heavy on this side, and it's ready to just take a dive off of this table. It's so jumping out of this pot. So it really wants to be repotted. So that's going to be the first thing that we take a look at. This direly needs to be repotted. So we're going to see how many we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at least 9 little kind of pups that we can use, maybe 10 or so off of this. So that should be a really great start. I really want to use this mostly. I really love growing this set of area. It's got beautiful, stunning flowers that it just puts out a ton of them every year. These nice little orange echeveria style flowers. And obviously you can see it grows really well too. This has been in this pot for a few years now, I think, and it's just bursting out of here now. So I think it's going to do the exact same thing in the new pot. And these guys are not very picky at all. I've got it in a really gritty soil, so it just drains right through. So they don't need a ton of water, and you can see that some of the leaves, since I do let it get pretty dry, a lot of the older leaves are drying off and kind of dying out. So now there are options that I could have with this, like for example, cut off all these kind of low flowing pieces and just kind of leave this piece in the middle and let it grow up into a new plant. But I have this pot, and it really kind of is going to work for the spot that we have. So I think this is what we're going to go with at this time. This set of area is definitely going to be the first thing that we want to go with. So let's set this aside somewhere I'm not going to knock it over. So the next thing we've got a few things going on in here. There's this little purple plant in here, but it's got these little echeveria nodulsas, little leaf propagations from echeveria nodulsa, and I think I'm going to use these guys in this planting as well, because I really like these, and I don't really have much space for them at this time, and I'm going to repot this guy as well. So last, you can see I have this guy. It's got a ton of offsets, just like the set of area. It's even got offsets coming off of the offsets. So this guy is growing really vigorously, and it's looking great. I don't know what this is though. It's some type of echeveria, but I'm not sure. Do you know what this is? I'm not sure. So I don't have an idea on what this is, but it's a very vigorous grower. Doesn't require a lot of maintenance. Just water it once in a while. Make sure the soil is really free draining. And it does it great. So I'm going to take some of these offsets, and I'm going to use these as well, I think, on the outside, because these guys are obviously really vigorous, big growers. So that's what we got. Let's get started. All right, guys, here is the pot. Isn't this really cool? I love this pot. The only thing that's wrong with it is the drainage hole is not at the very bottom. You can see these sides are a little bit lower, so I feel like water is going to collect down there, but I am going to use a very gritty mix on the bottom 3/4 of this. So it should drain, and I think it'll be all right. I'm usually pretty sparse with watering anyway, so but this is it, and I think these are gonna fill out this thing really nicely, and I think you're gonna love the spot where I put this once this is all planted out. So first thing we need to do is let's get all these pups sorted out here so we can figure out how we want to lay this out. Okay, let's get started. All right, this is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see how this works out. So what I'm gonna do when I separate out these pups from the plant is I'm gonna cut a little bit of extra, and you can see there's a lot of leaves going all the way down the stems, but I'm gonna leave in a little extra stem and take some leaves off. I'm gonna leave a little extra stem just to really kind of get them anchored in there a little bit better. So I am actually gonna start with these guys out here. So I'll actually show you with this one. So I'm gonna start and I'm gonna cut it down to about here. So there's one. And we'll get another one here. Here is two. Whoops. There's two. These guys, let's see them here. All right, so I'm gonna take this stone. Actually, I think this is a little piece of petrified wood, and put this in here to see if I can kind of, oh, it looks like it's gonna work. It's gonna counterbalance this thing. So it's gonna help me out and be my third hand here. All right, so number 3. Jeez. All right, whoa. So here is number 3. Nice little rosettes. All right, let's take out the heavy part of this now, because this guy just wants to jump out of here. So I'm gonna take this down to here. I'm gonna take this down to here. So you can see that I kind of, leave a little bit of fingerprints on here. There's actually a coating on a succulent called farina, and that's like a coating that helps it keep its water in during really hot weather and things like that. So the farina really is beneficial to the plant. It doesn't need it. It's not going to die if you wipe it off. But you don't want to intentionally really wipe it off. And once it is wiped off, it's not coming back. So, keep that in mind if you're going to want to kind of show your succulents off. Those marks are always going to be there. All right, so there's number 4. Let's take this number 5. There's 6, 7, there's 8, oh, and there's 9. All right, yeah, so 9 it is. Looks like we got off of there. So I tell you, I love these set of areas, like I said. So I am actually going to do a bunch of leaf propagations off these as well. So we'll take a look at that. Maybe not in this video, but I am not going to get rid of these leaves. I'm definitely going to do something with these. So we'll see what happens. But that's all of the little rosettes that I'm going to take off of there. So let's move this guy aside and move on to the next one. Guys, check all these out. So I got 4 Echeveria nodulces, 4 of these Echeverias, and 4 of these Echeverias set of areas. So look at all of these little offsets that we have to plant now. We're gonna be able to fill up this pot really nicely. So what we're gonna do now is clean up the bottom part of these stems, taking all the leaves off. So we just leave like the top part of the rosette that we want to show in our new arrangement. Let's go. Okay, so we just want to go through and just when you're taking these off, just kind of move them back and forth, and they'll just twist right off. And that way, if you're not breaking them off and just twisting them off and letting them sort of naturally separate, if you wanted to, you can use these for leaf propagation as well. So let's just go through and take all of these off, and I'll be back once I get it done. All right, folks, so to clean these up, I am just kind of popping these leaves off on the stem down here on this lower part. You can see it's already got a bunch of roots growing out down here, so that's a great start on these. I'm not sure if I'll use that whole piece of stem, but you know, just go through and take these lower leaves off. You just want to leave enough leaves for the part of the plant that's going to be sticking out. It looks like I broke a couple leaves off there that I didn't want to, so we'll have to take that into consideration. So I'm just going to go through and take the bottoms of these off. All right, guys, so you can see they're all cleaned up here now, and I got a ton of leaves. That was just the ones that I cleaned up off of these. So there is going to be a lot of leaf propagation going on around here. Next, we got to get some soil in this, so I'm going to use a really gritty mix, so let's check that out. So I've got the soil mix that we're going to use right down here, but first and foremost, the most important thing you need when potting up plants or working at plants, looking at plants, watering plants, sitting around the house, you want your iced coffee. This is the most important ingredient. Once you got your iced coffee sorted out, then you can start. All right, step 2. We've got a really gritty mix that we're gonna use in the bottom of here. This is what I usually use for bonsai trees. We're gonna use that here. Now I am gonna put a little screen over this drainage hole, a little piece of nylon screen. This is like a 1/4 inch, very gritty, no organics in here. And I'm just gonna fill this up about 3/4 of the way. And this is basically pumice and turfus. A little bit more here. And, oh yeah, and calcined clay. Pumice, turfus, and calcined clay. All right, so let's see, these are gonna be, want a little bit more. Kind of settle it in there a little bit. All right, so now you can see where I've got that soil level set up too. Now the next ingredient that I'm going to use here is a little soil I mixed up. Now this is actually just compost, so like garden compost, like half garden, or a little over half garden compost, and then sand and some pumice is in there as well. So it's basically like a sandy compost. And we're gonna use that just to hold a little bit of moisture up on the top here, because this mix doesn't really hold any moisture now. So I don't want to be watering these guys too much, so I'm gonna put something that holds a little bit of moisture up here toward the top. So I'm just breaking up the chunks of compost in here. So now I've got it almost up to the top, but not all the way up. So I do want to leave a little bit because I don't want this compost showing. I'm going to top dress it with some of the gritty mix here. Oh. All right, so now time to decide how we're gonna sort these out. So I think I want all the setivaria in the middle. I don't want it like one after the other, kind of alternating. I want it to look sort of natural, so like they're kind of in groupings. I'll put maybe like 2 of these here, 2 of these here, and then maybe 3 of these on this end, and 1 of these down here. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. So I got a little bit of a rough idea here. I'm gonna stick them in the pot and let's see how they look. So I am gonna start with the biggest ones in the middle here. These stems are just a little bit long, so I'm gonna cut these down to size, about where I want them. It's a little shorter than I wanted it. Gosh, I don't think there's gonna be room for all these guys in here, guys. I'm gonna need a bigger pot. Let's see what we can do here. I definitely want to use all this setivaria, so cut that down a little bit. Maybe I'll just use a couple of these. I'll use the 3 of these. I'll use all 4 of those. All right, so I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the top dressing on here and then sink it down in from there. So I'll take these larger ones, and then the smaller ones can go up here. I'm actually gonna use a different gritty mix as the top dress layer. So I just like the way this looks better. It's got a darker look. It's lava and turfus with a little bit of pine bark. So I like the darker look of it. So this is what I'm gonna use on top here. We're gonna get this in just below the lip of the pot. I'm gonna use the tweezers to put these down in there. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna take like one of the larger ones and then just kind of work it down in there. And then, so I'm just taking the stem like this and using the tweezers to get it down where I need it to be. Okay, now you want to try and be careful with these as you're putting them down in the soil, but don't worry about it if you lose some of them. You are going to lose some of these. Like, I don't plan on all of these making it. It's just not gonna happen. You're gonna lose some. So that's gonna happen. So just plant them in there as best you can. Try and be careful and, get them in there. But, if some of them die, then you'll just have the chance to do some more propagation and try and make it work the next time. So just be patient with it and get them in there as the best you can. All right, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it. We actually did fit them all in there, surprisingly. So let's check this out. So it doesn't look like much now, but it's gonna look great. Once these start growing out, this is gonna look amazing. All right, so now I've got everything in there. I think I'm gonna leave this guy out. I don't really have a spot for it in here, and I think this is enough already. So this is gonna fill out really nicely. Everything's in there and grouped pretty well. I really like the way it looks. Now I'm not gonna water this for at least a week or two. There's no roots on any of these, so there's no reason to water it. And if I water it now, there's a ton of fresh cuts down in there that totally need to dry out. So whenever you're propagating succulents, you have to let them completely dry out. So you can let them dry out a lot more than you would think. So these guys, they don't need water until they start growing roots, and that's gonna be at least a couple of weeks, if not more, maybe a month. So, but they're not gonna have roots for a while, but having some moisture in there, once these callus over, having some moisture in there is going to promote some root growth. So it's gonna kind of stimulate those roots to grow from those cut points down there. So those cut points will kind of attract some auxins or kind of hormones to go down in there and create roots, and the water is really going to be kind of a catalyst to help the hormones interact with that and create the roots down there. So definitely do not water these. If what I could have done instead is cut all these off exactly like the way I wanted to plant them and then just leave them on the table for like a week or leave them out in a dry place that's, out of direct sunlight, just to let those cuts callus over. That would have probably been even better than what I'm doing now, because that compost does have a little bit of moisture in it. Not much, but a tiny little bit. I'm gonna risk it though, and hope that this works out. So you definitely need to let those callus over, but I think this is gonna work out. So I am actually gonna put this guy in right here. I'm gonna throw that guy in there. Just have everybody in there. So what I'm gonna do is bring you in for a closer look. But yeah, I think it's looking great, and I will do some updates on this. Check my Instagram for updates. I'll be posting those periodically. That way you can kind of see the progress as I go. And I'll try to post some longer updates here on YouTube as well. Well, I hope you liked this planning today. Click that like button if you'd like to support the channel, and click subscribe if you'd like to see more. That really helps me out as well. I love doing more of these planners and sharing it with you all. So come on and click that subscribe button, and let's get some more of these done, and I will see you next time.